Have you had 4 before? Because I know you did Jason and Gwen.
No, so we're actually,
This is the first foursome.
Is a foursome an orgy?
Me too.
I think we all do.
Like 3 is a crowd before is a party. Yeah.
I say foursome's too many dicks. I can't. Depending on.
Whoa. Whoa. Is that because there's 3 dicks or because there's 2 dicks?
I was going to say, have we established how many dicks there may or may not be?
Is that just 4 dicks? 4 dicks is way too many dicks.
I agree.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so I knew when I got this crowd together that it was going to start like this.
Right. Well,
Once
we're
again,
we're fully entering the month of June, which we all know is Pride Month, right?
Woo!
Yes. And in
Hell
honor
yeah.
of Pride Month,
I love
Ken has shared
boobies.
with us his favorite sex position, which is the reverse cowboy. And if you can elaborate a little bit on what that looks like, I would like
knew
to
this
see
was
I do
gonna
it.
be
believe,
great, Dad.
and this is on camera, so I think if a man is laying this way and his head is there, then I have to be here receiving the penis, I think that's a reverse cowboy.
Wait, so his head was where?
Where's his head?
Okay, gotcha.
His head is there.
You're down here.
Yes.
looking
Gotcha.
away.
Yes.
Oh, so you're rubbing dicks.
Well, no, I'm getting it in the ass.
Well, yeah, but you're also rubbing dicks, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, wait, no, you're not rubbing dicks because his dick's in your ass. Okay, I get it now.
No, my dick is between his thighs. I mean, it's not really because it's small.
I can't conceptualize. I've never been there, so I don't know.
But you're no, I can't.
Sure you can.
No.
There's no filter, Charlie.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just still trying to get the visual on that.
Have you listened to any of my episodes?
I listened to a portion of the one of the 2 of you, and I had to stop because I was dying. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're really getting into this. That was a full description of anal. Thank you.
We got aggressive.
If I were to ever try something like that, now I know.
So the best.
We're here to be educational.
When I was thinking about this, the episode we recorded on the way over, the best line of that so cracks me up was when you guys were talking about. I don't know if you saw it on social media, but something about the pool ball thing up the ass, the pool balls.
Oh.
And then you guys were telling the story, and then I looked at you and I was like, "Well, do you think you guys are gonna top that?" And Alex is like, "I don't think we're gonna."
But we're gonna try.
Best response ever. You're like, "I don't think we're gonna."
Speak for your own butthole, okay, mister? I have limits.
Which is like crazy because we've all taken like honking duties in our
This
days,
and that
you
was
know, like-
the context of it was there was a doctor that
A
had
doctor of anal. That's what you called him.
I-
And then Alex was like, "No, you can't get a doctorate in anal."
Do you get your doctorate certificate in just it says a PhD,
Yes,
Anus.
and
MD,
a PhD in anal. And what university offers that program?
Oh man.
Charlie looks scared.
Things have changed a lot since I was in school. So much, in fact.
All right, proper introductions. First, a big thanks to Kris and Alex.
Yes.
They're hosting us at their house to do the episode, and Alex just cooked us an amazing dinner. Everything was amazing.
Oh, he never does that.
I know.
And
I don't
when
know
we
how
all fall
you-
asleep in 30 minutes, you'll know why.
I don't know how you make the same steaks that I cook. I don't know how you make them taste so much better, but well
We
done,
also have
sir.
a coffee machine if anyone needs coffee. Just saying.
Ooh,
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. They have an espresso machine. Like they can make on-demand espresso.
Yeah, like lattes.
I will
Fresno.
see you tomorrow morning since you are like only 60 blocks from me.
Yay!
But our special guest tonight is Charlie, longtime friend of mine, obviously. But
First
Kristen
time
has also
podcast.
has a great history
Yes.
with her because Charlie taught my daughter how to snowboard.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Oh, day 1 or 2, it was.
I think day one.
Was it?
It was day one, literally, because
Yes.
we were on the bunny slope all day.
Well, didn't we go up day 2 together too?
I feel like we went twice that weekend.
I think we did.
Because
Yeah,
it was the
yeah.
second day that I remember Dad was like, "Okay, you're getting off the bunny hill, Kristen. You have to get your ass up."
That's
on
only
the
because
green."
he wanted to get off the bunny hill.
No, it's because you also taught me how to snowboard, and
I
that's
did.
how you treated me.
Yeah.
You were like, okay, day 2, bitch, get the fuck off the bunny hill. And then I think
I've
it was,
never
I think it
babied
was
you.
You're a
literally-
grown ass man.
I have
kid.
never babied that man.
It was, I want to say it was 10 days into it. So we went 2 days, Friday and Saturday. The next weekend, 2 days, and on that 4th day that I'd ever snowboarded, I believe that's when you threw me into fucking Heather Canyon, and I almost died.
You did not die. You made it. You're still here, and
I
here we
know.
are having a podcast.
I know. All right.
So
Well
who
played.
rocks?
So clearly, it's a proven track record of success.
God.
Because Kris rips it, Ken rips it. I'm sure you rip it too, because
I-
you taught each one of these goons how to snowboard.
Oh my God, yeah,
so-
she likes to go very fast downhill.
In straight lines.
Oh
In-
yeah.
Yeah, I don't do a
When
lot
I
of
was
turning.
learning how to snowboard, my parents are not very. I mean, they're in shape, they're athletic, but they're not like adventure-seeking individuals. And my mom and dad took me snowboarding on the infamous North Carolina hills that are just straight ice skating, basically. Yeah, there's no
So you're
snow.
fine on Hood then, because
Oh,
you're used
yeah.
to that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Cascade
yeah.
concrete.
Exactly. And my mom said the first time they tried to take me snowboarding, I was wearing no helmet because there was not a thing back then, right? So orange beanie from the truck stop on the way there because I didn't even own a beanie from South Carolina.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, it was a foggy day, icy hills. You're wearing an orange beanie, a pair of blue jeans, and like a hoodie, basically. And my mom was like, you just would zip down as fast as humanly possible until your orange beanie would disappear in the abyss. And then you would just scream and crash because that's the only way you knew how to stop. And then just eat shit. And then that was like, I mean, but that's the lesson learned is that, like, if you can eat shit pretty well, you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no fear of doing something wrong as long as you know how to crash well.
This is
great
my
metaphor.
version of parenting, but I don't think it's Ken's version of parenting.
Yes, it totally is.
What? You're surfing and you're not wearing a life jacket?
What? You ride motorcycles? What? I wear a helmet.
I
While
know.
surfing?
Look, everything
No.
you're doing is amazing.
God, I was like, is that a thing now?
I'm just being the overprotective father. Like, but you're doing awesome. Everything's great.
Oh, hey,
trust
I
you.
know you're allowed to be a little bothered by it, and I don't hate you for that. But I'm being very cautious.
So we do have to get this out of the way.
Yes.
Tom Brady and Kenny Chesney rule. No Shoes Nation. Hashtag.
Put your shoes
Watch
on.
the concert. Tom Brady is the greatest.
His wife left.
So
him.
the backstory is because she
Well,
started
he
her
started
podcast.
doing this on my podcast.
She started it
my
like a year
podcast.
before me, and I would always do a shout out to Tom Brady and Kenny Chesney, and she would
Okay.
edit it out. So now I have to do it on every
Because
episode.
my podcast is not about Tom Brady nor Kenny Chesney.
But it should be.
So he makes a point to say
if
this.
Kenny Chesney could send me some bottles of his key lime rum, then
That was
I'll
pretty good.
say whatever you want me to say.
There you
Right,
go.
right.
That shit's pretty fire.
But Charlie, you did have a chance to listen to at least one full episode, so you kind of know the point or the origin story of this podcast, which is to get to your origin story. So we're going to talk a lot about Charlie.
Yay.
Which is weird because I think it's titled something like,
For our loved ones.
right, I don't have any. So you're
Yes,
all
you
there is,
do.
there, my brother.
You love all of us.
Okay, yes,
You
of
love
course.
Rob. You love Mary.
I know, but both of them know all my secrets.
Yeah, but the rest of the world doesn't. Eventually, I'm going to become Rogan, and people are going to be listening to this.
Oh, dear God. That's terrifying. All right.
Because obviously,
But
and
I also
I'll get
say
this.
it's not just for. Well, sorry, I don't.
I'll get this out of the way too.
Yeah.
So we don't end up tearing up in it like halfway into this. Yes, Charlie came to me. We met a long time ago, and then I went through a particular hard time in my life, and Charlie was there, supported the hell out of me, and I can literally say saved my fucking life. So let's get past that before I start crying. But we obviously know a lot about each other, and I know, and I think I said it in the other podcast. Don't talk about anything you don't want to.
Okay.
But I am curious. I want to know more about, because I also know, I mean, you were adopted,
I was.
but I also know that at some point several years ago, this might have been one of the times you came to see me at Puffs. You found your relatives in Idaho.
Thank you, Ancestry.com.
Oh, like birth
Yes.
parents
Yeah.
or birth sibling or.
So
Fit
in
the tube
Idaho,
and
is it
find your parents.
Ancestry.com or is it
Stop.
Ancestry?
But let's start with this. At what age? And again, only talk about what you're comfortable with.
Okay.
I know I just went into host mode, didn't I? Sorry.
That's okay. You feel
I'm
free.
sorry. What age were you adopted?
I was an infant.
That's what I thought.
So I was very small.
Okay.
I was just a few days old. So I went into a foster home. I believe she was at a home for unwed mothers, my biological mother.
Okay. And this was in Idaho?
In Idaho.
Okay.
And then I went into a foster home. And so the joke of it is I was born a redhead, and who wants a redheaded child? So let's just be honest. So this was in the early 70s when, so my mom was diabetic, and she found out she was diabetic when she was 19. And she and my father were already married.
Your
and she
biological mom?
My adoptive mother.
Oh, I'm sorry. Adoptive
and
mom.
she
Okay.
couldn't have children.
Right.
So they put in for adoption when they moved to Idaho. Well, they almost got laughed out of the office for that because
At
it's
19
like
years old, right?
she's diabetic, and in the 70s it wasn't as easy to regulate your diabetes, and so women that were diabetic had a very small chance of getting a child.
Right.
So
Because
a few
they were
years
just-
into
they
it,
were-
out pops this redheaded kid that nobody's going to take anyway. So guess what? My mom gets a baby.
So wait a minute. So your adoptive mom.
Yep.
And,
Linda.
I'm sorry, Linda. I'm blanking on the name.
That's okay.
She started this interest in adopting when she was how old?
She and my father got married when she was 18, but she found out she was diabetic at 19.
And back then, the whole
Bless
diabetes issue was a concern for the adoption agencies because they were like, well, what if you die?
Right.
I guess that's what it was,
Yeah.
right?
Because back in the 70s, it wasn't as easy to regulate your
Yeah,
blood
it was
sugar because
more
it didn't
lethal.
have everything it
To
had
have
now.
diabetes could be fatal.
Huge.
More often
and was
than
expected.
it is. Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
So, you
But-
know, she got the
So the
redheaded
joke
kid.
is that thank God you were a redhead. I'm sure that's not how it went down, but it's a good story.
I won the adoption lottery. My
Okay.
parents
Also
were
did not know you were
absolutely
redhead.
outstanding.
And you were.
You what?
I did not know you were red.
Yeah. I'm actually, if I let this go, it's really copper,
Oh wow.
but it's also really silver now too. So I just bleach it.
Yay.
So, and your dad was a couple years older than your mom?
Yep. They
Okay.
dated in high school. They were high school sweethearts.
Okay. But so Rob is the second adoption. He's younger
Yep.
than you, right?
Yep.
Okay, but they won the lottery with the redhead thing
Yep.
and adopted you in 19. Let me see if I can get the date right.
Oh God, no! Then
'Cause
we're,
we're
then
very
we're going to
close in
talk about
age.
my age. I
We're-
thought
we're
we didn't
dating.
have
We
to
don't want-
discuss
we're not
things
dating.
I don't
They
want to talk
adopted you
about.
sometime in the 1980s because you were
70s.
born in 83.
Right? 91.
But they were still living in Idaho.
Yeah.
Your dad, was he starting like to get into his career at that
He
point?
was. He had, when he graduated from college in Michigan, he sent out over 100 resumes. He got 2 replies.
Is that how he landed in Idaho?
So he knew he wanted to be out west because he was a hunter and he wanted to go forth and conquer the world. So he and my mom drove out to Idaho, and he was a potato plant manager.
Okay.
How appropriate for Idaho.
Right.
I'm
So,
assuming
and
he
he was
went-
an engineer. So he managed the potato plant, and then he got promoted and he managed another potato plant. So they kept moving as he kept managing bigger potato plants. I don't even know, but there were so many potato plants. He just kept moving around.
And then they adopt you first.
They get me.
First child, and then how long after that did they adopt Rob?
Rob was about 4 years later.
Okay.
Yep.
And they were still in Idaho at that time.
Yeah, different places, but yes.
Okay, like around the Boise area, or was it ever like northern?
We were
Idaho?
northern. Yeah,
Okay.
we were American Falls, and then we were over in Connell, Washington, and then back in American Falls. And
Okay.
Rob came out of Boise, and then
And was it kind of a similar story? Just a
he had a
young-
really big head. I don't think anyone wanted him. So
Rob.
Had to wear one of those helmets with the wheel
I'm
on it.
kidding.
Rob, she's
small
fucking with you,
Rob.
obviously. I'm sure after this many years, you know that.
Hey, we called him Egghead for
Oh,
years. I'm
God,
sorry,
stop it.
but
He has a
is
beautiful
the
head.
smart
He's a
one.
good-looking man.
He is the smart one in the family. So
Well, I think you're both pretty smart. But so 4 years. So you were about 4 years old when they adopted Rob.
4.5. Yeah.
Do you have? That's pretty young. You probably don't have an actual memory of the first time Rob came home.
I don't remember the first time he came home, but I remember my parents talking to me about getting a brother.
Okay.
And the fact that they were talking about naming him different names. So my father's Dutch and was raised very Dutch. And in the Dutch community, your firstborn has your initials reversed. So what, I can't remember everyone's name. Don't get mad at me, Dutch family. But there was like, a Hiram Ronald and a Ronald Harm and a Harm Reginald and a Harvey and
didn't know
just
that
all
was
the
a thing.
HR in our family. So we had to name, my dad is Ronald Harm, and we had to name my brother HR.
Yep.
So they were trying all these names, and my mother didn't like any H names. So they
There's
thought,
not
well,
many
just
that I
put
can
the
know of.
H period and then give him an R name. And I remember, because I was small, but here's my law enforcement background. They told me they were going to name him Robbie or Rob, and I said no, because then he'll rob people. And I was 4, but I was like, no, if
prophecy.
we name him that,
path,
he
too.
will rob people. We
You were
can't name
destined.
him that.
You were almost destined to spend some time in law enforcement. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Goodness knows how I even knew what that meant at 4, but with I guess my grandfather was in homicide, so maybe I just picked stuff up from Grandpa. I don't know.
Your grandfather on your dad's side?
Yep,
Okay.
he was a homicide detective in
So you're-
Kalamazoo, Michigan.
So you're still in Idaho. You get Rob, and then at what point? How long were you there before you ended up in the Portland area?
We ended up in Kennewick for a few years
Okay.
after that.
Your dad's
then we
still doing similar jobs.
Yeah, he got promoted at that point. At that point, he was pretty high up in the parent company of the potato plants.
Okay.
And then he took over. We moved to Lake Oswego, and at that point, he started working in the company that owned the potato plant company. So corporations, you know how
Right,
that
right.
goes. And we lived in Lake Oswego, Oregon, for quite some time, and then we moved to California, where he worked for the company that was the major corporation, and then he was also in charge of AFI, which is American Frozen Food Institute.
Okay.
He was CEO for all the stuff, and then he retired. Sorry, Dad, I'm going to be honest here. He retired when he was about 40, and
Nothing wrong with that.
I was in high school. Well, it was if you were Linda Dykehouse.
And we're gonna get into your mom. I want to hear her story. But okay.
But Linda was like, after about 2 years of having my dad be retired, I was in high school and starting college, and having a CEO be in your house 24/7 after that, when he's
What
used to
could
bossing
possibly go
everybody
wrong?
around.
I don't understand why. That'd
Yeah,
be a
Miss
Imagine.
Linda said, get a job or get out.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Ron took another job, and that's how I ended up back in Oregon with him.
And then,
They're still married, or they were.
right. During this whole time, though, did your mom work, or was she
No.
like a stay-home mom? Okay.
We were all the work she needed. Robert and
can
I
actually
were a
see
handful.
that,
Yeah.
yes. Jesus, you and Rob would keep her jumping.
Rob kept her sane. I did the opposite.
I want to back up because when you're like trying to name someone that begins with an H,
Yes.
other than Hank, Harry,
Harvey.
and it's Harvey. Okay.
Hiram.
Harold,
Hiram.
Harold. Okay.
My
Harold,
grandfather was
Hiram.
Harm.
Hermione, Hermione, Harry Potter fans.
Wow.
Ah.
The more
That's
we talk
a
about
female, though. We got to go with
I
male.
get the theme because the more we talk about H names, I'm like, I don't like any of them.
No,
They're all
neither
pretty.
did my mother.
see why
She,
you're-
she was
yeah,
like, no.
On that
Heather.
point.
Heather.
Well, you're not gonna name a boy Heather.
Oh,
I
we
mean,
brought
you
a
could.
boy
Keep
name.
going
I mean,
with
you
that,
could.
sorry.
There was a
could.
Marion who changed his name to John. So, hey,
Yeah, you can do that now.
you could always do
I
that.
think of a lot more female H
H
names
names.
that are
Yeah,
that are
Hannah, Heather,
Hillary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I know growing up as a potato farmer, or your family being the potato industry,
Mm-hmm.
that's a tough industry to be in. So is everyone in your adopted family as yoked as you are, just from lifting taters all day?
I will say I have got some Dutch cousins that are some big, good-looking,
The
strapping
Dutch are tall.
boys.
They're all like I
Dutch
think
are
they're born at
yeah.
like
Oh
6
my
feet,
goodness
right?
gracious! I'm
Yeah.
telling you, these are big boys.
Oh,
So yeah, but it's not from the potatoes. I think it's just that Dutch background.
Yeah.
So, you moved around a lot. Where did you end up finishing high school?
Finished high school down in California,
What city? 'Cause
Cameron Park, outside of Sacramento, up in the
that's right, because
foothills of the
Did you
Sierras.
also start college in California?
Did
I want to share this.
Sierra?
There was freshman year of college. I remember you telling me the story with one of your professors.
Yes, I did. Well, he said I look like Debbie Gibson. I was offended.
She was big at the time.
She was huge at the time.
Debbie Gibson.
Yeah, she was.
You don't even know who Debbie Gibson
I'm
is.
bad with names. What?
Pop star in the late '80s.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm bad with famous people names.
But
so
what
it's-
was the
yeah.
story about you? You don't even have to share it. Sorry, I just thought it's a great story. Right now, she's thinking, "How the fuck do you remember this shit?"
Yeah, and
He does remember. The
hopefully
randomest
he's
things.
dead. No offense, bro.
You got very close to one of your freshman year college professors. But at that time,
Did you pass at least?
But no,
you bet I did.
Yes.
Charlie
Hey,
was
I've been there.
Call that with Flaming Aces.
And she was a punk rock girl in the early 90s, late 80s. Like, you were totally into, like, Gin Blossoms.
Yeah, that wasn't really punk rock back then, but yes.
Probably some other bands.
Yes.
Yes.
The Cure, Depeche Mode,
Yes.
Erasure, OMD,
Okay, yes.
Susie. I mean, Gene Loves Jezebel.
Yes.
I
I've
was
heard
an
most of
80s
these.
child.
Okay.
Yes.
So she was a rebel. Let's put it that way. But what college was that?
That was at Sierra College.
In Northern California, I'm
Yep.
assuming.
Yep.
Okay. You just went there 1 year?
Yes. And
Okay.
then I was on academic probation. Too bad that guy didn't teach all my classes. And so Ron, I was also involved in the wrong crowd. Story of my life. I was not attending school as much as I should. I wasn't even riding my horse as often as I should.
Oh, so you were
I was an
horseback riding
equestrian. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
a scholarship.
I did
Nice.
show jumping and 3-day event, but mostly 3-day event at that point.
Whoa.
Nice.
But unfortunately, I had discovered boys
Wow.
and the
Oh,
wrong
no, no,
kinds
no.
of boys.
Stay away from the boys.
No, no.
And my dad said, you can't be, I'm not paying for academic probation.
You can ride horses,
So
but you,
you
can't ride
either
boys.
move to Oregon with me, because at that point he had taken over a company that was up here in Portland,
Whoa.
or you're going to get a full-time job and you're going to work. And I was like,
Okay, I might have
don't
missed
wanna
something
work.
here. Why? What do you mean moved to Oregon with him? They were still
he
together.
was, they were together, but that was when Linda said, get a job or get out.
And
so
did he try that for a while?
he took over, he was already retired, but he took over a company that had filed Chapter 13.
Up here in the Portland area?
Yeah, a company called Americold. So
oh, I
he
know
came
them.
up.
They're in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he came up and he was the CEO for that company.
But Linda didn't go with him?
Well, she wanted my brother to finish up school down,
Okay.
or at least that year.
Is Rob
down
younger
there.
or older?
Rob is younger.
Okay.
4.5 years younger.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess I didn't know this, that there was at least a year or two where they didn't live together, even though they were still
He would fly
married.
back and forth. So he was up
Right,
here
right.
3 days a week
Okay.
or 4 days a week, and then down there on the weekends.
Okay.
Cool frequent flyer miles, but exhausting for him.
So they kind of knew the end goal was they're going to end up in the Portland area, but she wanted to let Rob finish school.
Right.
Okay.
And he had a condo up here on 5th and Market.
Okay.
So I just moved up here with him, and then he
What was
could
that
keep an
like?
eye on me.
As a 19, 20-year-old living with your dad and not having your mom there, what was that like?
It was freaking sweet because my dad was never, no offense, my dad was never really around
You
because
could
he
do
was
whatever
busy
you wanted.
working.
Right.
He was
right.
like across the street in his office building. So, and I
Okay.
was at Portland State
Okay.
and I was going to PCC too at the time because I wasn't an in-state person. But it was fantastic because I lived in downtown Portland
right.
as a 19, 20-year-old kid.
When it was like cool.
Yeah. And safe.
Yeah.
Like
safe, yeah.
none of the issues you had now. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
right.
Clean.
I went down to London Underground and bought my Doc Martens and walked around all day. Got leather
Yes.
bracelets from Rolo, who used to sit on the
Yes.
corner and make leather and it was totally safe. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the best time. I didn't have any friends, probably also okay. My grades got a whole lot better. Amazing how that happened. But yeah, hit the music scene. Like everything was.
Is
it was
this when
absolutely
you got
amazing.
into? Because you've been with a band. She was a singer for a band, but is this when you
I didn't
started
know
doing
that.
that back before you became a cop?
It was a
that when
couple
that
of years
happened?
later. I was 21 when I was in the band that we played all the different clubs and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
And so that was a couple of years
She has
later.
an amazing singing voice, by the way.
Not anymore. I quit.
I mean, probably you might be out of practice, but I bet within a month or two you can get it right back.
We can talk about it.
Okay. I have a karaoke system. I have a
It's
PA.
one of those instruments that you like can never like unlearn. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
so,
you know.
So you're going to school, and was it just being in the scene in Portland? How did you get Had you always sang, or how did you get connected with the band?
Yeah, I always sang. I always sang all the way through school. And
Choir?
then
I mean,
yeah, oh
okay,
yeah, choir. I did, I did musicals and stuff as a kid.
Okay.
Like my dad still makes me sing "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow."
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Tomorrow,
really
tomorrow.
fantastic. Let me tell you. So, yeah, in the middle of his hospital, to his entire nursing staff when he was in the hospital, I had to sing that song, and
Yeah.
I was
To make you stand on
in
a
my
soapbox,
30s.
basically. Oh wow.
yeah. Anyway.
But while you're going to Portland State PCC, you're getting connected with the Portland music scene. scene, I
Yeah.
guess? Is that kind of how
Just
it
started
happened?
meeting people. You know, you're going out, you're hanging out at clubs, you're getting to know, you know.
Do those clubs still exist now, or they have already
No, I
opened
sure
in
wish they did. There were some really great ones.
Oh man.
You know, the underage clubs, X-Ray Cafe. I mean, I don't know when did you come to Portland?
It was like 6 years ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You missed all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
You
started
know?
declining pretty rapidly. Once
Yeah.
I got here,
Was the Starry Night a thing back then?
It was. I never went there, but
Okay.
Satyricon was huge.
Yes, Satyricon.
You know,
Yeah.
Dante's, of course, was there.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
Yep.
Dante's
you
is still
know,
here.
It is.
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
there are
One
some
made
that
it.
are
I think
still
they
kind of
changed
around.
locations, but yeah, Dante's is still here.
Yeah.
And
Horse
how
Brass
long
used to have
were you
bands.
active in the band thing?
Until I became that job that we did both.
Well, you can say it.
Are we talking about that?
We can talk about it. Yes, there's no reason.
Matter of fact,
we shouldn't.
I hear that's how I got on with Gresham is during my oral interview. It came up that
that you're in a band.
that they asked, "What do you do outside of law enforcement?" And I said, "Well, I
Oh.
happen to sing in a band." And next thing you know, the whole oral board stopped. Basically, we just went into this whole tangent about
Like, can
music.
you sing Tomorrow
Yeah,
right now?
yeah,
Oh
thank
my
God they
God.
didn't ask for that. But yeah,
You know
then
what I bet it was, having gone through many oral boards. I bet you won the room that day because it wasn't the same old fucking bullshit answer and question thing. They actually you had something interesting they wanted to talk
that
about.
yeah, and that particular lieutenant, actually, I think he was a sergeant at the time, but yeah, it totally derailed the whole oral
So-
board, and I walked out of there thinking that either went really well or really
Yeah.
bad.
So
I
what
don't
led
know.
you? What was the impetus for that? I mean, when did it occur to you? Like, oh, I think I'll just apply for Gresham Police. I mean,
Actually, it was Portland, and it was when I got my degree in administration and justice. So I
that's what
graduated
you
from
were going to
college.
Portland State for.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that in psychology, and I graduate, and my dad's like, "Okay, so what are you going to do now?" Thinking, "Go to work, daughter," and I'm like, "Well, I guess I'm going to be a police officer." And the parents that told me my entire life that took way too well, unfortunately, you can do anything you want as long as you put your mind to it, you can do it. And I bought into that hard. So I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be a police officer." My dad looks at me and goes, "No, you're not."
Oh man.
Why not? Because you're my daughter.
He was being the protective dad.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
I want you to go into advertising.
So-
A, I didn't get a degree in anything that had to do with
And I almost
advertising, and
want-
B,
wanna
that sounds
ask-
so boring.
I want to ask Ron, like, have you met your daughter? If you tell her she can't do something, she's
Oh my
gonna fucking
God.
do it.
It's like back then.
2
you only had,
months
like, 5
later.
careers, so you're
So
like,
you tried Portland first, but ended up
Yeah.
getting on at Gresham.
Well, I was with Portland as a reserve.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. I'm sorry. I
October
forgot about
4th, 1994.
that.
So I was
were
a reserve, and I was a reserve sergeant, and I was the academy co-director,
So
and
this is
so I
gonna
was
be-
showing my dad, like, I really want to do this because I'm doing it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time, I worked for juvenile justice, did stuff
Okay.
at Donald E. Long, you know,
Right.
looked at other things in law enforcement-ish that wasn't being a cop,
Yeah.
and it was all pretty lame. It's not what I
Yeah.
wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
So at what point was it when you were already on at Gresham that you got cast in the Young Cops thing?
yes, that was
This was an actual reality
1998.
series that got filmed. I've seen episodes. And
Really?
back in this would have been the mid or late 90s.
It was 99 that
And
we did the
wasn't
filming.
producer the same guy that did?
Paul Stoyanovich. Yeah. Great guy. Miss
but
him.
what
R.I.P.
was-
Big deal.
What others? He did.
He did
the,
Cops.
The Cops series, the actual Cops TV
was
program.
The one of the original
Oh.
So
producer.
he
Oh.
came up with the idea of doing a Young Cops, and he cast a bunch, and it was filmed in Portland. He cast a bunch of
Portland.
young Portland new cops that had just got hired. She was one of the cast members, and
So
it was literally a reality
Yeah,
show.
they took 4 officers from Gresham and 4 officers from
I'm
Beaverton,
YouTubing
moved us
this
all
shit.
into a big house in
I'm sorry, it
Irvington
was,
Heights.
Was it
or
was it
Irvington.
Beaverton and Gresham?
Yeah, it was
Not
Beaverton
Portland.
and Gresham,
Y'all
but
lived
we
together?
lived in
You
Portland.
guys lived in a house in Portland.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've seen.
So they
some
took
of
the real
footage.
world and they took Cops and they married the idea, which in terms of a concept was fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really glad it didn't go as public as it probably could and
Well,
would
and
and
that's what I
should
was
have.
going to ask because
Wait,
Because
it didn't see.
you've showed
the
me some
public?
episodes, but I don't think it ever actually got off the shelf.
It didn't.
Oh.
So the
Okay.
person that was in charge of reality TV for that, my understanding, this is what I was told, but the person that was in charge of ABC's reality TV that next year that would have launched it,
Yeah.
lost their job. So no reality TV
Oh.
happened that next year. And this was before reality TV was getting really big.
Okay.
It was
Right.
just like a fledgling thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm really glad because I didn't realize, because I was young and I spend my life living in my ego. I was just like, oh, this is cool. I'm
Yeah.
rad. I'm a badass. Yeah, I'll be on TV. not realizing they're going to cut and edit that into what makes the best TV.
The best storyline.
Yep.
And not maybe
And I'm
present to you in
really
a way
good at being really bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't show me in a
Maybe for
great
the-
light. I was a
But you were already full-time at Gresham when that happened. I
know-it-all.
think.
Yes, I
Okay.
was.
So
And
maybe
then-
good it didn't go public.
I'm
then.
glad now it didn't.
But it was fucking cool. I watched one,
That's a cool
one or two of the
experience.
episodes. I guess you
It was
had it on-
fun.
you must have had it
Yeah.
on like a, I don't know if it was VHS back then or if you had it on a Blu-ray or something,
Both,
but
I
not
think,
Blu-ray, but
like DVD
Yeah,
thing.
maybe the
I don't
laser
even
disc.
know.
I don't know.
I don't even
But
know.
You showed me some of the episodes. Like, that was fucking cool. I mean, it was professionally done. It looked like any other MTV reality series.
Yeah.
But I also was looking at it going, they are cutting and editing this to just create
Every
drama.
reality show.
Much more drama than there
Than
probably
there
actually
actually
was.
was.
Yep.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
But that's their job,
Yep.
and good for them. But just like I'm glad I got out of law enforcement before camera phones became too big. Just there are some things in the world that just don't need to be publicized,
Oh,
and
yeah.
my mouth is one of them. And yet here I am on a podcast.
Well, with age comes wisdom, so we can do it now.
Yeah.
I guess Asian wisdom.
I'm a late bloomer.
So, and at that point, I'm assuming that's when you met Kyle because he was a reserve at Gresham.
Yeah, he was also my dispatcher.
He
So,
was right. He was
Yep,
even when
in
he
a
was
couple
a
of
reserve. He was
my
working as
what
a
we can call a
dispatcher.
high risk episodes, a couple of my issues that happened, my higher risk stuff that happened on duty. Kyle was my dispatcher, which was
shit.
pretty rad.
Okay.
It's pretty awesome to have a friend that's got your back on that radio,
Right.
and that stays very calm in
Right.
situations where you're not calm or you have to act calm, but on the inside
But
you're not really
yeah,
that calm.
you're about to explode. Right?
Yeah.
And then he was a reserve, and I think he
Yes.
would like come ride with you.
He did.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, all
I
the
have
time.
pictures of us in a patrol car together. It's so cute.
Aw.
There are, and we're not going
We
to go
look
into
like
it.
little babies. It's so awesome.
Yes, there is. We're not going to go into
Yeah,
it
he's
on
been there
air.
for a long time now because he still
Yes.
is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're not going to
It's
go
only
into it
got a
on
couple
air,
years
but there
left.
are so many. There are so many amazing stories about your and Kyle's friendship, the fucked up shit you guys would do to each other
Oh my
in a
God.
fun way. We're not going to talk about it, but yeah, they have a very special relationship.
We do. We do. Some of it's totally tame though. Like I'd be on patrol on night shift and he was our dispatcher, and there's
Yeah.
a tactical channel called TAC 1.
Yeah.
And I'm sure today I would be written up or thrown out of my patrol car, whatever. But back in the day, there were less rules.
Yeah.
So the song Tangerine Speedo would come on,
Yeah.
and I would put
Wait,
my
Tangerine
radio.
Speedo?
Do you
Who
remember
si-
that song?
No, who sings this?
No, you need to look it up because I don't remember because I'm old. But if it was on the radio, I would put my radio on TAC 1 and put
Open
it
the mic
right
and put
up,
it by the speaker.
and I'd crank it. And Kyle, I always knew, always had TAC in his ear just
Yeah.
so we could hear, because it was a free channel without a dispatcher that cops would go to talk to each other.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
And
You
know,
had to
it
keep-
wasn't inappropriate stuff, but it was like stuff that didn't need to
But
be
you
over
had to
the
keep
air.
one
Yeah.
channel clear for the emergencies, and then you have
One's
another
just, like,
channel
chit-chat,
to just
bullshitting.
chit chat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would blast Tangerine Speedo. Then he would call me.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
This
This isn't it.
Maybe there's two then.
No, I think it's actually coming through the mic. That's fine.
Not
Is
Tangerine
it?
Speedo.
That's
No?
not it.
Okay,
that's
well,
not it?
There's
I might
another
just-
version of
the only one that
Tangerine
came
Speedo.
up. Is this a one-hit wonder?
Well, yes, almost guaranteed because I don't remember the band. But we're also talking like 1997, 98.
Tangerine Speedo. Are you on Spotify?
It's an old
I've
one.
looked it up. well, clearly what came up was literal Tangerine
Ooh.
Speedo. That's my Google
Well,
it.
and that's why I was thinking about my friend Furry Kyle. So if that tells you everything you need to know,
Is it off the Charlie's Angels soundtrack?
it could have been.
The only song is by the only thing that comes up for Tangerine Speedo is the song by Caviar, which what I just pulled up.
No, it was not that song.
Well,
Nope, it would have been played on like 94.7 or
So
whatever,
it was like
one
an
of those
alternative
famous.
rock
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to find it.
yeah.
But
So
yeah.
Well-
at some point, you become a cop,
Nice try,
and I'm
baby.
assuming by the time you became a cop and were doing that thing, Linda had already moved up here. Rob was out of high school.
Yeah. We were up here. The house was finished in what was it? March of '91.
Which
So-
house? Where was it?
The one on Antioch Downs.
I
Well,
I know this
if I
house?
had my phone, I don't think so. I don't think you were ever there.
I
I
mean, is
might
it
have
in
driven.
Portland,
I would
or-
have driven you by it. It was in Tualatin, technically Stafford.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would have driven you by it, but
Okay.
the house with. So Rob moved out and went to college. Obviously, I was doing the cop thing, so I wasn't living there anymore. I bought my house, and it was, it was a big house. Let's just say that.
Right.
So it was too much for my mom to keep up. So they ended up selling it in 99.
Okay.
So yeah, that house went bye-bye. They kept a condo over in Tualatin for a while, but they were in Mexico full time at that point.
Oh, that's right. They had the Mexico house. Okay. And did your dad kind of retire again?
Yes, and I don't even know what year it was. By 99, he was either working remotely or almost retired again. But they started Mexicold, a whole nother corporation, because Mexico has trouble keeping their frozen food frozen.
It's kind of hot down there.
A little warm. So they had train cars and trucks and
Like refrigerated freight cars.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the whole thing there. So the company ended up doing great, and my dad stepped out and he
Kind of
was done.
retired.
Yep.
And Rob went to school locally, or did he go out of state?
No, he went to my dad's, technically what would have been my dad's alma mater. My dad started at K, so Kalamazoo College in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was liberal arts college when my father went there, but he transferred over and finished his degree at Western Michigan University with my mom. But my brother went to K, and it was a liberal arts school, and he has a degree in, sorry, Rob, I'm going to screw this up, but international business, and then a second major in Spanish.
Okay. And did he have an idea what he wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, he knew he wanted to travel, so he was
is
an
that's-
exchange student in high school in
Oh.
Costa Rica,
Okay.
and then he was an exchange student in college. His whole junior year was in Quito, Ecuador.
Oh.
So
Very nice.
he was Mr. Adventure, and ever since he was a little kid, this is the coolest thing about my brother. He's so rad. So the little die-cast metal planes,
Oh,
Yeah.
he had all of them.
Oh.
And then he would make up little flight, like he would pretend he was making up an airline, and he would make a little flight pass for them about where they were going. And
Oh my God.
this is when he was
Wow.
like 3, 4, 5, 6, like
That's
a little
insane.
kid.
So he was
Wow.
meant to work for the airlines.
There's no question.
Oh my God.
This kid, you
Wow.
knew he was going to be something. So yeah, and so now, which is really rad, he's up at SeaTac, so he's in the Seattle area,
Right.
and he has all those little die-cast planes in a little
Oh.
corner cabinet.
Yeah.
And it just makes
Origin
my heart so
story.
warm.
That's
I mean,
so
just
cool.
he's so
That's so
smart and
cool.
he's amazing.
Yeah, we're gonna give Rob a shout out definitely because I've met him several times and he's always been incredibly kind and amazing to me. I fucking love
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah, he is
So,
my hero.
At what point did he after college? Then he was like, okay, I'm gonna do the airline thing.
Jumped right into it.
Just as soon
I
as he
literally think
graduated?
it was pretty much when he
Okay.
graduated. He worked, he did an internship for a senator for a while, but it seems like, of course I'm old, so there could have been a year gap. I don't remember it. It seems like he went right to Delta,
Okay.
and he's been there ever since.
And wasn't he?
Can I say that?
Wow.
At
Can I-
first, for a while, wasn't he based out of Atlanta?
Yep.
Is that right?
Everybody at Delta
Delta's
is.
hub.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Damn.
Rob, and this is all anonymous, so nobody's gonna get in trouble. But I do remember one of the times I met Rob. He told me the greatest story ever. Do you remember the Whitney Houston story about the flight attendant that got in trouble because Whitney Houston wouldn't talk to her?
I do remember this story.
Okay, some random airline flight on Delta. Obviously, Whitney Houston and her handler, manager, whatever,
Entourage.
administrative assistant, whatever you want to call it, personal assistant. They were sitting in first class, and the flight attendant came up and just like, oh, you guys, would you like a beverage or food? I don't want to pile on. Whitney's dead. I probably shouldn't tell this story.
In a nutshell, some people think they're very special and don't need to be spoken to if you're not a certain person. And the flight attendant was
Right.
not that person. But that flight
Yeah.
attendant was also not my brother.
Yeah.
Because this is the guy
wasn't
that's
Rob. It wasn't
infamous
Rob.
for telling me over and over again, you are never going to be on a flight that I'm working because you will beat everyone up. And I'm like, you are right.
Ah.
The first person that disrespects you is going to get a fist to the face in a hurry.
And
yeah.
Whitney,
Well.
Whitney had her own struggles, so I don't want
Yeah.
to pile on that.
Yeah.
I just caught myself there. There's no reason to bring that up. Anyway, he obviously had a successful career in that.
Yes.
You're doing the cop thing in Gresham. Do you want to talk about your mom? Like, 'cause
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty pivotal. I am very comfortable saying that my mother died unexpectedly, and
I know that. That's what I
it
meant. So I
totally
wasn't sure.
changed me as a person.
Yeah,
So
I know.
my mother died September 11th. She was not on a plane or involved that way.
But the same 2001, the same day.
Yeah, it was the day.
Yeah.
My brother, flying for Delta, being a flight attendant, we couldn't get a hold of him. So he was flying out of Dulles that day. We knew that. And I had just gotten off work at 04:30 in the morning and had just gone to bed. And at the time I had a house phone, back in the day when we had house phones.
Yeah.
And my phone started ringing at like some ungodly, especially when you went to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
Right.
ungodly early time. And I'm trying to ignore it. I'm trying to sleep through it. And it won't stop ringing. So I finally answer it. And my mom says, turn on the TV right now. So I turn on the TV and we can see what's happening. And you could tell at that point the second plane had hit or was hitting, and it was commercial. There was no
And
question
you're like,
because
this
it was
isn't
on
an
video.
accident.
Yeah.
And she's freaking out. She says, I can't get a hold of your brother. And I said, well, you know, being a cop and being used to chaos, I'm like, just keep calm, take a breath, you know, just keep calling.
Right.
You know, I'm hoping there was a ground stop, you know, let's just keep
Yeah.
calling. Well, what happened was everybody that was around back then may remember the phones didn't work on the East Coast because everyone started jamming.
Oh yeah.
Rob was in a situation where he couldn't call. He was obviously not involved because he's still here and travels with me all the time. But we couldn't get a hold of him for hours. And I think he finally got a hold of my mom at like 1:30.
Was he like supposed to fly to the East Coast?
He was flying out of Dulles at 9:30 that morning.
Oh wow.
So was
Yeah.
like,
In the proximity, obviously.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was terrifying.
Dulles?
Yeah.
Dulles?
Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow.
So, so it was obviously very terrifying. Plus, my mother's brother, so my uncle had two children that were in the New York area. I had a cousin that worked on the American Stock Exchange, and then his sister, they roomed together, and then she worked right downtown at a popular restaurant, and we couldn't get a hold of them either.
Oh, man.
So a lot of family stress.
Yeah.
So she was not sick. She didn't have a heart condition that we knew of or anything like that, but she had a heart attack and died.
Oh, wow.
So
Did that happen before she?
she
was
found
able
out
to-
Rob was okay.
Okay, thank
So
God.
I know, and that's my biggest thing. Thank God she knew Robert was okay. It was, I had gone to work, and I had some dirtbag boyfriend at the time, of
Okay.
course, because
I remember you saying you were dating somebody or whatever, but I remember it's almost like he had to break the news to you.
she had called the house,
Yeah.
which was weird because we had been talking off and on all day. I never really slept. We got called in early, so I think I went into work at like noon when I usually would have started at 3. So I went into work, and she called my house at like 6 p.m. And he was also in emergency services, so he was going to work that night. But he contacted me and said, your mom called. And she sounded really weird. And I'm like, that's weird. She knew I was going to work. I told her when I left. And he's like, well, I don't know. You might want to call her back. Well, I was at work. And I'm sorry, in the business of 911, you get busy.
Yeah.
So I didn't call her back.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe she didn't feel good. She knew something was going on. I don't really know. And I'll never know, obviously. But I'm really pissed that the last person that she talked to that was close to me was this dirtbag boyfriend. Not even going to say no offense to that. So anyway, point being,
But
that
I
really sucks.
remember you saying that
Yeah.
when you realized what happened, you like sat him down and you were like,
Oh,
tell me.
I wanted to
every
know. That poor
fucking
guy,
thing that
talk about a
she
dark room
said
and a
to
light
you,
bulb in
and
front of
I
your
wanna hear
face.
every word
Oh,
that she
I
said.
interrogated the fuck out of that poor fuck guy.
Yeah.
So, but then
Now,
I
was
lost my
she-
marbles after
Did that
that.
happen?
So,
She was living with Ron. Or
yep.
Was he at work or was he home when this happened? Or
They were in Mexico.
Oh, it happened in Mexico.
Yep.
Okay.
Your dad was there?
He was.
Yeah.
This was the time that he was not sober. We were
Yeah.
not. My father and I hadn't spoken in 2 years at that point.
Oh.
So I was actually told by my aunt from Michigan, who had to call me to tell me.
Oh.
And of course, immediately I didn't believe her. She's fine. She and my dad have had a fight. I'm sure she just I'm sure she just left. I'm sure you're just hearing this and it's bullshit because I'm sure she just went to a hotel and she and my dad had a fight. They do this all the time. And my aunt's like, no, I think this is real. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Don't worry. She just left. Everything's fine. Totally denial. And then our caretaker of the home tried to talk to me and I'm like, no, I'm sure this isn't real. No, I'm positive this isn't real.
Oh man.
So yeah, I had to tell my brother. That was really rough. I would kind of be interested to hear his memory of that because I really don't have one myself.
So actually, now that I've done the podcast with Paul Young, I know how to do it over Zoom. I would love to have Rob.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yes, and we could be together
Yes.
on the same mic, and Rob can be where he's at. So,
Yes.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm putting the dates together now because it must have been when we first met. It was snowboarding season, but it must have been that.
We met in 99.
Whenever Street
Survival
was,
99. January of 1999, you and I met. I think that was it. Or maybe it was Street Survival 2000. It was before my mom died.
Oh, then it was 2000.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, because I had just gone to Deschutes County, and I actually I didn't realize I was being annoying at the time, but I knew Street Survival was coming to Portland. I know. I never know I'm being annoying.
Oh, I'm going to tell you the
But
story in a minute.
Street Survival was coming. I'd been wanting to go to it for years, and I said, hey, guys, I will pay my way. I told my sergeant at Deschutes County, it's like, I'll pay my way if you'll send me. I'll buy the ticket or I'll get a hotel. Or obviously I had family here I could stay with, although I ended up staying with you.
So anyway,
I'm sorry.
You almost lost that though.
I was thinking it was after. I was thinking it was later. You're right. It was 2000. That makes sense.
Yeah,
but it would have been. Was it like January, February? Or
it was it had to be. I think it was January of 2000. It was snowboarding season. It was either 99 or 2000. No, it must have been 2000. Because in 99 I was doing the show.
It was a 3-day intense police training, how to survive like high intensity things, and like they took over a convention room at the hotel up.
It's like Red Lion
Jansen
or
Beach.
something like that,
Yeah, the
right?
Red Lion or something up there. And you and one or two other Gresham cops were in the row behind me, and we just met and started talking.
So I was immediately pissed because I have ADD, so I need to sit in the front.
Oh,
so if I'm not sitting in the front, I'm not paying attention. There's no question.
Yeah.
So I roll in super early, and there are these dicks sitting in the front row, and I'm like, the only thing there is the second row. So I'm like, immediately, I don't like these guys. They took my spot. So, and then Sassy Pants here is the only one that had enough moxie to be sassy back to me, which I was like, okay, cool. So we're all like dressed up, and I don't remember, we weren't in uniform.
No.
But we were like in court wear the first couple of days,
like
you
slacks
know?
and a dress shirt and stuff.
And, you know, I mean, you know, dude works out and he's kind of hot. And I'm like, I can mess with this guy. It's cool. Day 3, we get to wear like actual civvies. And I'm like, I think I'm going to ask this guy out. Like, he's pretty cool. He rolls in a shirt that's The Rock.
Dad.
This is way before The Rock was cool, okay? Way before.
I mean, the shit worked.
It did not work. It did not work because I
point she's
seriously,
making now is that
I
it was
wasn't gonna. I
terrible
wasn't even gonna talk
decision.
to him, and so we
No,
run
it
into
was
each
your
other on a
coworker.
bathroom.
It was
that
your coworker. I forgot her name, but she was the one that like came up to me and said, "So, you know, like, are you single? And by the way, my friend Charlie." That's how
You're
Yeah.
your friend?
Yeah,
A coworker.
I wasn't
Oh.
gonna say anything to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, he's wearing a shirt that says The Rock.
Wait,
on it.
so
like,
if he was wearing
no.
a shirt that said the Sting,
So
would
not-
you talk to him? 'Cause
No.
the Sting was like clearly like the better
my
wrestler.
God.
at the time,
No,
right?
just I was
Undertaker?
not. See, the wrestling thing was not my
That is
thing.
such a you
Nowadays,
thing to
I know.
rock.
I
I
know.
remember.
Flair,
I know
that
what
would've been
shirt
cool.
you're talking about
Yeah,
too.
yeah, you
I know
remember that
exactly
shirt.
what
Do you
shirt.
still have it?
No.
I was
Me
about to say, it's like,
Shane
what,
both had the
30
same
years
shirt.
ago?
I know. I remember.
Yeah.
So
Oh my god.
Yeah,
So
so
at
I
some
ignored
point-
him, and he came and talked to me, and I was like,
Well, no, because
I was rolling my
gonna
eyes,
get
and
the
I'm
story
like,
straight.
bro,
When I get the story
you do
straight,
not qualify.
Your coworker, I forgot her name, but she came up and she did the thing like, "Are you single?" And I'm like, "Well, I'll tell my friend, yada yada yada." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I approached you and I was like, "Hey, so do you guys you want to like go get a drink after?" Because I think it was a 3-day.
It was.
3-day conference. This is on the last day of the conference, and it's over at 5 p.m. I was living in Bend, but obviously I was here for this. And she was like, Yeah, we can get dinner and drinks or whatever. And this is one of the funniest lines I ever said. It was like, I said, well, so I'm going to have to get a shower. Can I just come to your place and get a shower? And because I'm going to need to freshen up before we go out. And then you go back to your friend and go, yeah, he's coming over to my house and he's going to take a shower.
Oh my god.
Which back in that day, it really wasn't done.
Yeah.
So I ended up staying the night with her, and this is the best part of the story. This is the first time I met Kyle, but I didn't really meet him.
Yeah.
It was a snowboarding season, so we obviously stayed out too late and drank too much. But she's a rock hard snowboarder. Like, she's like, it's a fucking powder day. We're going. I just remember I'm laying in bed, and like the fucking alarm goes off, and she's up, and some random guy, which was Kyle, is in the doorway to the bedroom. And like, we had to go, Charlie. It was like 5:30. No, well, probably not that early. Probably like 6:30.
6:30.
Yeah.
6:30.
Yeah,
You have to get up there.
First
for
tracks at
first
0800
tracks.
because that's when the lifts opened back then.
Yeah. But I remember hearing Kyle's voice, like, who's this guy? And I don't know. I met him a couple days ago. And then they leave, but Kyle's like, you're just going to leave him here? And she's like, he's a fucking cop. I know where to find him.
So years later, he's telling the story in front of a group of people, and he's like, yeah, this is the chick that just left me there in her house.
Oh,
She didn't
my-
even know me. And I'm like, yeah, I totally did that, but it was a powder day. Like, totally justified.
Fuck you. I'm going to go
No
snowboarding.
friends on powder days. We all know this.
I wasn't going to be so uncool to kick him out. So I'm like,
Oh
yeah,
my
just sleep as
God.
long as you want, lock up. I'm out.
But I'm going snowboarding, motherfucker.
You were like the ultimate cool. You're like, I'm not gonna kick you out, but I'm also gonna like rip up the mountain and have a good ass time.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Thanks for last night.
So wait,
Bye.
so brown chicken, brown cow. So Ken, did you not go snowboarding because you were?
No, I did.
He didn't know
I
how at the
I'd
time.
never been.
Oh, this is
Oh.
before.
And
he
I was
learned.
not
This is
taking a
before I
gaper
knew.
on a fucking powder day. Dad.
No,
Yeah.
it was a couple years later when I got into my shit and bend and we reconnected that she finally taught me to snowboard and she taught Kristen to
Yeah.
snowboard.
Oh
Yeah.
So,
shit.
yeah.
And then I spent every time I would come visit you from Arizona, because I don't think I've gotten up at the crack of dawn to go to the mountain since like I used to go with you.
Right.
Like I remember just being like a zombie, and it was like 5:30 in the morning, and we're leaving like Grandpa Jack's house to go to the mountain.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is not how I want to spend my Christmas break, Dad. I mean, enjoyed snowboarding, but not getting up at 5 in the fucking morning.
Oh man. Nowadays we get up at the crack of noon and we go to the mountain. It's awesome.
Well, I mean, being as close to the mountain as we are now, you know,
Yeah.
and then if you get a season pass, it's like, cool, we just go up
You know,
whenever.
you have like a doobie and some sink water for breakfast and like you're ready to go.
Oh my god.
Dude, I'm a sucker for corduroy. I've got to have those fresh tracks in the morning.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still that way. I ride for 2 hours and I'm done. As soon as I see
Yeah.
fucking families, I'm out.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
Power
And
to
I'm not a
ya.
morning girl. Trust me.
Yeah.
But that was,
Gotta be
that was
motivated,
actually
yeah.
an amazing, and obviously that I still cherish to this day. You gave that gift to me. You
And
gave it-
how
you
many
gave it
New
to
Years?
Kristen.
How many New Years did we spend?
Yeah,
2,
we
if
actually.
not 3 New
so
Year's
after
Eve
that, we
on the
would go up-
mountain.
we would go up to Ski Bowl and do New Year's snowboarding.
That's so awesome.
and
Yeah.
like I'd bring a bottle of champagne, and they would do the fireworks.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
Those
you-
are really
you-
good New Year's.
That's because of you, Charlie.
Well, cool. I don't know what to say
I
about
am
that.
trying to get you to cry, but you're not going to break. are
I'm
you?
not a big cry.
I know, you're not
I
gonna
know.
break.
You trust me.
Well, and you didn't make it up this year, but I'm fucking holding you to it next year.
No, I didn't make it up this year, but the only time I went up last year was on my 50th birthday, and she took me.
That's his
to
birthday
Meadows.
present.
cool.
I
Yeah,
bought
we
him a
went up
leather
on a
jacket for his
Sunday.
birthday because
Nice.
homeboy needs a leather jacket, not just a Kenny Chesney hoodie.
What's wrong with Kenny Chesney hoodies? How dare you?
So remember where I
They're
said you weren't
slightly less
qualified?
It keeps coming around, doesn't it?
Oh man.
I was like,
But
Dad,
a-
you're
but a
turning
rock-
50. We need you to have a nice leather jacket. We're going out to
It was
dinner.
so cute.
We're gonna go
'cause
snowboarding
she was,
tomorrow.
She was living in Northwest Portland,
Yeah.
over in like in Slabtown area, and I met her like at 4:30 or 5. We were going to see Eric Church at the Moda Center.
Nice.
Do you know who Eric Church is?
No,
That's
but
what
okay.
I knew. I saw the look
See
of
how we're in this?
confusion.
It's
in
my
your
dad's
face.
birthday. This is what he wanted
But she
to
was
do.
like, "We're gonna
One
do
of those
dinner and
dad
go to the
bands.
concert," and
Oh.
then, but
Got
she had
you.
this surprise. She took there's a I forgot what store it was, but it's in Northwest also.
Yeah.
Banana Republic.
It's a
No,
name you would know. It's a name you would know.
Leather jacket from Banana
for
Republic.
clothing.
Yeah, they got them.
Not buckle. What the
No,
fuck
it wasn't
was
buckle, but it was something like that. I forgot.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we go in there and she's like, "Yeah, we got to do something about this." And she bought me.
Because he showed up with the hoodie and cargo shorts on.
He
I'm
was
like,
wearing
his
it's your
rock
birthday.
t-shirt
We're
and
going
a
out.
Kenny
We're
Chesney
not
hoodie.
wearing
I
this.
had my buckled jeans on, and
Okay.
and a Kenny Chesney hoodie.
And a hoodie.
Wait, buckled jeans?
Yes.
What are buckled jeans?
I think they're
It's
the
a
kind
brand.
that
It's
have
a
like
brand.
Ah, do they have like the
They have, like, the
vajazzles on
stitching.
the
Yes,
butt?
No,
yes.
it was not
Fully
bling.
bedazzled.
It was not
Oh,
bling.
they were
I
bejazzled.
was, no, they were not bedazzled. Mine were
Oh.
very subdued, but they were designer jeans. But I had my Kenny Chesney hoodie on. And she's like, she took one look at me like, "We're gonna fix this whole
We're
situation."
gonna get you. Either you
Took
show
me
up
there.
naked or not at all at this
And
point.
bought me a nice 3-button shirt and bought me a fucking leather jacket, like a going out
Nice.
leather jacket.
Wow.
Which
Real leather jacket.
have
Yeah.
never worn since, probably.
all
Oh,
the time.
no, he wears it all the time.
Does he?
Oh my
Good.
god, it's fucking amazing.
Good.
And I also wear the Kenny Chesney hoodie all the time. And I wear the Tom Brady jersey all the time.
There's
Yes.
a time and a place for a hoodie.
Okay.
I'm trying to look up this store now because it's driving me crazy.
I know.
Anyway.
It's a name you'll know.
Yeah.
I won't.
But-
I'm not a
No,
shopper.
you'll know. You'll know.
But yeah,
So,
then we went to dinner.
at what point did I guess your dad bought that cabin north of Spokane?
No. So a number of years after my mother passed, we have a trust, and Rob and I were not pulling money out. We didn't know we had to, but there's only, I guess there are laws. I probably should have gone to law school. But there can only have a certain amount of money in the trust, and the other money has to be taken out.
I
So
wouldn't know.
yeah, so Rob and I weren't aware of that. So we were like, okay, well, we have to take it out. What are we going to do with it? Well, let's buy some property.
Okay.
So Rob and I were both like, Montana. And of course,
Nice.
Ron was like, hunting. And we were like, okay, it's our money, but okay. You're the one with the spare time, so why don't you start looking for property? So he starts looking for property, and we're like, Montana or Idaho would have been fine. So way up in this northeast corner of Washington,
It's like right on the Idaho border.
Yeah, near
he
Spokane.
It's
lowballs
north
this
of Spokane,
woman.
like 45
It's 45 minutes northeast of
Yes.
Spokane.
Yeah.
And this woman's had it for
North
sale for a
Bend.
while.
Oh, so close to Coeur d'Alene then, right?
Yeah. It's we're about 30 minutes outside of like Schweitzer,
Oh, cool.
which is what I like about it.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
could either go to Schweitzer or you can go down into Spokane and hit some areas over there. So there are a lot of little ski areas. We're like
Nice.
15 minutes from 49 degrees north, which
Nice.
is a
That
6
was-
ski area.
That was a resort.
They
that I went
really
with you.
desperately need some new lifts. I'm
Yeah.
hoping they get a quad one of these days, maybe
Yeah.
this year, because it's got really nice terrain.
But I had a
just
good day
cold.
there with you guys. I thought it
Yeah,
was
we've
cool.
had a good time. It gets bitter cold up in there, and riding a 2-seater for a half an hour
Oh, it's like
takes the fun
ski
right out of you.
bowl.
It is.
Oh my God, ski
Yep.
bowls like lawn chairs attached to a cable.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's got the best terrain on the mountain. So when there's snow,
Yeah.
that's where you
Oh,
want to be
yeah, those
until
black
you're
bowls are
riding to the
awesome.
top, and you're
Mhm.
like, oh, now I'm frozen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so Ron
But
found this
your dad
property, and he
found that
steps
cabin.
in, and he lowballed the woman for the property, and she freaking took it.
Oh.
Rob and I are like, well, I guess we own property in Washington
Oh, so
now.
you guys built that house.
So yeah,
You just bought the property.
yeah.
I
So
didn't know
Ron
that.
Ron built the house.
Okay.
We bought the property.
Okay.
So it's really confusing. Luckily, the
But is
family still seems to get along right now.
But you still
More
have
or
it,
less.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a beautiful cabin.
Thank
I don't even want to call it a cabin. It's a great like.
I like to call it a
mountain
cabin.
house. Yeah.
I like to call it a cabin.
I do too. It makes it sound better, but it's a
Yeah.
fucking beautiful location. Oh my god.
Nice.
And then
Cool.
Ron is up
Ski trip
in,
when? Cool.
Yeah,
You
road
told me
trip.
earlier tonight.
Dude, with you guys, yes, especially if you're cooking.
I know.
Anytime you
I'll cook
want.
the whole
It's a
time.
good mountain cabin too, just like in the spring and summer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Not
carry
just
a
the
gun,
winter.
so I'm not scared of
Yeah,
the
there's
bears.
good
that
elk
much.
hunting up there too.
Yeah, dude, you and my dad would be best friends. Trust me.
Oh.
The man that can only hunt from the truck now. And if he shoots it, it
good.
better not be too far off because
That's
he's got to
right.
call
The
some
trucks
kid
are where
to
the
come get
beers
it.
are, you know?
Right?
And him and Vicky are where at again?
They're up. They are west of Seattle, which
Okay.
a lot of people don't understand. But there are the whole Key Peninsula is west of Seattle. So
Right. Like the Olympic Peninsula.
yep. So they're out there. They actually,
Like
what's beautiful
Forks?
is right out there. No, they're not that far
Come
up.
on, they're not where the vampires are.
But you know, if you take Tacoma Narrows Bridge and go over
Yes.
Gig Harbor up in that area,
Yeah. Okay.
so her living room window looks directly at Mount Rainier, so it's
Oh my
absolutely
God,
beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and they're right on the water, which is fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
It's not super fancy. That's what I like about it. It's an old house. It's had some add-ons,
Right.
so it's super quaint.
So it's got some character.
And she owned a antique store for years and years. So it's
Oh.
full of antiques.
Fun.
So it's like an awesome house to visit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
Is there a Mexico house still?
No.
Oh.
That might be a sore subject.
Oh, sorry.
it is a sore subject,
Sorry.
but it's a transitional subject.
Okay.
By the way, I think I did hear on your episode that you've been through therapy. You might want to give me that name.
Oh,
I got some stuff to work through, but
been through many therapists,
yeah.
so
Oh
I'll
my
share
God.
the good ones with you.
We've all been in therapy. She's
Yeah.
seen mine. One of mine. I work with 2 therapists. I've been doing it for 6 fucking years, man.
I don't go because I'm like, nobody's gonna understand this circus. And
Of course they will.
No, they really won't.
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to have a law enforcement background, tactical
stop. No,
experience.
that's not what it's
You
not
need to
what
be
it's
able to
about.
handle
Nope.
professional athletes and all the rest of the chaos that goes on with me.
That's not what it's about. It's more about letting you talk. That's what I used to think, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll send you Lindsay's info. She's been amazing. I've been working with her for 6 fucking years.
And it's
And
a
I have-
woman.
I have 2 other.
I have to talk to a woman. It's just getting harder and harder.
And I also have 2 other people. I'm not going to say their names.
Yeah. No.
He looks
but,
over.
but I have some other coworkers that I've turned on to her, and that's a wrong choice of words.
So this is why.
What kind
this
of therapy are we
is why
talking about here?
I can't see her as much as I want to see her because you're giving all of their slots away to your coworkers.
Well, they need
Or
help
there's
too,
that.
Chris.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well-
I have a couple of coworkers that are also seeing her. She's amazing. Yeah.
Nice.
So if you're interested, and it doesn't matter if she can't relate to it, yeah, she's awesome. Therapy is great for everybody. I think everybody should do it. I'm never going to stop.
Demand for
Especially
therapists went
since-
way up since the pandemic.
I
so.
say,
And
COVID,
well,
I
and
bet. Yeah.
Thank God. I'm going to do the shout out again. Thank God for working at Costco and the benefits. Like the copay's $15 a session. I can
Gosh,
see-
that's
I
great.
hate
I've been
you.
doing it for
For you.
6 years, and I
hate
only
you.
pay $15
Right.
a session. That's insane.
That's awesome.
I keep expecting my insurance company to call me and say, "Are you fixed yet?"
It's been
But they
6 years.
can't. They
Yeah,
can't
right?
do that.
That's cool. Oh, that's fantastic.
That's great. Well, this guy's never been, but he grew up with a dad that's a
Yes,
psychologist.
he's very
so
well adjusted.
he's just built in,
Hey,
stable
we've
from the
talked
beginning.
about doing
Nice.
therapy.
Oh yes, I'm not saying you're not open to it. You just
Oh yeah.
don't need it like the rest of us do.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think we all need it. I think we all have our own dirt to turn over, you know.
Mhm.
Let me take a time check just to see where we're at, because I know it's 10:09. We have been going for an hour and 2 minutes. God, time flew.
It always does.
Oh my gosh.
It always does when you're enjoying it.
What's your schedule tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Monday. Ooh, tomorrow we're pushing my training back a day, so I get a rest day
Okay.
because I
that's
wanted
cool.
to
Do you
bench
get
on
to
my
sleep in?
birthday. So yeah,
Tomorrow's your birthday?
yeah, no, Tuesday is
Oh.
my birthday,
Oh, fine.
and
And
usually
she
Monday
turns
is
30
Wednesday.
finally.
Right?
Yay!
29 again. So I don't use an alarm clock. I don't believe in them. So I just always sleep until my body tells me the
Circadian
time.
rhythms.
Mhm.
Yes.
So usually I wake up anywhere between 8:30 and 9:30.
So how does that affect
Nice.
like 8:30, 9:30 in the winter, but in the summer, do you have like curtains or blinds in your bedroom?
I have blackouts. Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Well,
The dogs, unfortunately, will get me up on occasion.
God.
But I can open the door, let them out, let them back in, and go right back to sleep.
So you haven't had an alarm for how long?
A few years now.
it's amazing. I mean,
That's
like I feel
amazing.
like I wake up like around 9:30 to 10, even with blackout curtains. You know, like that's like my prime time, which is funny because I was born at like what 10:27 a.m.
Really?
So it's like it's funny. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but like my prime time to like feel productive and wake up is like around like 9-10ish or whatever. But I had some friends in town this weekend, and my friend Dan, who was the tour manager of this band that was touring out west, and he had never experienced blackout curtains before.
And he slept in our guest bedroom,
He
which
slept in
has
our guest
blackout
bedrooms,
curtains,
which has
yeah.
blackout curtains. And he's like, I'm gonna wake up at 8 o'clock. I'm gonna get like tour stuff like done. I'm gonna work. Yeah, that was false. He came outside at like right around noon 30 and was like, blackout curtains will be the death of me. I feel as if I could just never wake up ever again.
I have to say though, as the guest, that it made me really happy. I know he probably wanted to get up earlier, but I felt really good as a host knowing that like people can sleep in. Because I feel like a lot of times when you're a guest in people's house, you feel awkward sleeping in.
That's not going to be the death of him.
That made me
happy. It
happy.
could be the health of him.
Sure, he chugged like
okay
19 beers before that night, so his health was at a red line.
So that's mean we have a comfortable bed and it's nice and cool and dark in there.
Yeah, you have a Tempur-Pedic mattress and blackout curtains. I mean, fuck me up. I'm just gonna sleep all day.
Dude, your body will tell you when you should get up. I mean, I'm a true believer in that. Like my athletic achievements have substantially gotten better since I've allowed myself to sleep.
That's great.
So this alarm
sleep as
clock
much
thing,
as your body wants to.
Yeah.
And I do want to get into this. Before we end, I do want to talk about the fact that, yes, you are on your second pro career as an athlete. She was a sponsored snowboarder. Now she is actually a professional powerlifter.
Oh,
and
shit.
you kind of told the story to us outside before we started recording. Mary kind of got you into it, I think.
She did. I had a friend that was very honest with me when I was married and my husband was deployed about maybe putting on a few too many pounds during his deployment. And she wanted me to go to the gym with her. I think she just wanted a gym partner, really, but I was pretty fat. So I started going to the gym, and I was fairly strong anyway. I mean, I think I held the bench press record at Lake Ridge High School in Lake Oswego for a number of years. As a freshman, I put up 150.
Yeah.
So I've always been fairly strong, but didn't realize how much I missed competing at something until she's like, hey, let's try a powerlifting competition. And I did deadlift only, and I was hooked. So that was 2014, I think, was my first competition. I'm sure Open Powerlifting will tell you. So, yeah.
9 years of doing this.
this.
You're all in.
100%. Yep. I bounce between drug tested nationals and drug tested worlds every year.
But you're also working in the industry.
Yes. I work for a company called Kabuki Strength. And
Kabuki, right? Am I saying it right?
Yep.
Kabuki. Okay. Yeah. I watch your Facebook. Oh my God.
So wait,
my God, you're still on
nationals,
Facebook.
Like, does that exclude fun drugs, or is that just performance enhancing drugs?
Both. Fun drugs are performance enhancing. Like so no, our federation does not test for pot, but I'm never been a pothead. We all know that, so it's not my thing.
Oh,
I've never done the weed. Well, I mean, I've tried the weed.
Right, but it's not.
I've tried the weed.
Well, and that's funny because
it's not my thing.
I never in my entire life had until I was in my 40s, and now I don't. No, I never ever do that because I work at Costco. Moving right along.
Right.
But you're all in on this shit, and you're kind of a big deal in the natural powerlifting community.
Something like that. Yes.
Feel free to
is it a community or just a group of enemies?
I have the open world record in bench press for drug tested females in the 82.5 kilo class, which is 181 pounds for you Americans. So it's
you Americans.
Currently 275 pounds.
We will do anything with the metric system.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's terrible. The only country.
Yeah.
So,
but Kabuki Strength also. Did you say they actually like make some equipment?
Correct.
I mean, that's what the company's about, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just about training and supporting powerlifters.
About a third of the company is for coaching and education, but we create powerlifting. Yeah, well, we create all kinds of training equipment. We do competition bars, of course, but we do other bars and specialty equipment that helps you stay in the game longer. It's both prehab and rehab, all kinds of like a safety squat bar. Ours is the transformer bar.
Right.
So it's, I mean, you really should come in. I will put you under a whole bunch of different stuff. We have so much fun stuff. But,
are we going to go work out at her gym? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
it would be super fun to have you guys in.
So I already, this popped into my head again, just random shit. Who is the, it's not natural, but kind of the mecca of powerlifting what's that guy's name? That old guy. It's over on the East Coast.
Richard Simmons?
He
Say, if I bring up a
Something
name and
Simmons.
it's not
I
the
feel
right
like it
one,
is something
when he
Simmons.
said old guy,
But he-
Louis Simmons,
yes, he
Wow.
West Side.
didn't he create the reverse hyperextension because it helped his back?
I'm not sure who created it, but he is someone that's
Known
he
for it, or
believes in it. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Did he pass? I feel like he did.
I'm not personal friends with him. He's dead. Yes, I think.
Okay.
I think he has passed.
Okay, I think he has
It's
too.
been 86.
So yeah, I because I've always trying to train your lower back. Obviously, deadlifts work great, back extensions. But I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Have you dabbled in the reverse hyper?
I have used a reverse hyper. I do not train with one currently.
reverse hyper what? What is this?
So instead of doing back extensions where you're on a bench and you
Yep.
do this,
Yep.
you actually lay
you
on
lay
it
on it
and do
in your legs.
with your legs.
Yeah.
So the theory behind it is it works your lower
Oh.
back, but it also is supposed to decompress your spine.
Oh, I
Is
think
the
I've seen one of
theory.
these
I
in
don't
the
know.
gym.
But if you've used it, have you? Do you get a benefit from it, or?
I used it so early in my powerlifting career that I didn't have enough education to know what it was and wasn't doing for me.
Okay.
I think I'm getting enough work out of my deadlifts and deficit deadlifts and RDLs to not need one now, and that's probably why.
Explain what a deficit deadlift is.
It's when you stand on a mat or 2 or 3 and the bar is actually lower.
Oh.
So instead of putting the barn weights on blocks,
Right.
you do the opposite. You put yourself
You actually
on something.
you
Oh,
raise
I
yourself
see.
and make the
Yeah.
starting position where you have to lean
Lower.
over farther.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty horrendous, but there are worse things. Like,
Wow.
But
there
that
are
would
other
actually
things.
build strength in your lower back. I'm
It
assuming.
definitely does.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So there are enough variations there that I can get that stimulus.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's work out.
Let's go train right now.
Chris
It's also
is
the
on
nice
board.
thing about being a Kabuki employee. We do have 24/7 access with a key card.
Woohoo.
Whoa.
So it's
We're
And
enough
where's
whiskeys
the,
in to start doing some deadlifts.
right.
Where's the gym at?
Clackamas.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And is that the only location? Or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a manufacturing facility on one end, and then
But then you have a gym.
we have a gym and our coaching and education facility on that end. So
Okay.
it's pretty cool.
Wow, that's amazing. Actually.
Yeah.
I always, yeah. Again, I've been, I don't want to say stalking, but I've been following your post because your powerlifting
stalks me,
career
fine.
has been very intriguing to me. Because
Thank you.
obviously I work out, but I'm like, oh my gosh, she's fucking killing it. And I knew there was a business behind it, but I didn't realize how big it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think people think it's bigger than it is. So we're not Rogue. So Rogue has like 800 employees out of Ohio.
Right.
You know, we have like 30 employees out of Clackamas, Oregon, and we make all of our stuff. It's American made steel. It's American. You know, it's not imported from another
it's
country
manufactured
and
here.
just assembled here. Like it's actually manufactured here.
Right.
So, you know,
Who-
this
who
is
do you
specialty
guys-
equipment.
Who do you guys sell to?
Everybody.
Like
so
CrossFit
obviously
gyms and stuff?
it's
or
well, we do pro teams. That's huge.
okay.
The military,
okay.
high schools and colleges. But, you know, during the pandemic, like everybody needed a home gym. So that really became our big thing is,
So I just feel like I've seen the name somewhere and I can't place where I've seen it.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Probably
So.
just if you follow anything fitness,
Okay.
your algorithm will switch over and
Yeah.
you'll start seeing our ads probably,
Okay.
I'm sure.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
yeah. It's
Right on.
fun. It's, you know, nothing I'd like better than talk about lifting all day long. But
Right.
the funniest part is I do work customer service, and when I get a customer that they hear a girl's voice and they're like, well, I want to talk to someone who actually lifts.
You're like, wow.
It's like, bro.
Let me
I
tell
can't
you.
live to
Have you
you right
learned
now.
to not just like punch them in the face?
Well, I can't because it's from afar, but and I don't like bringing things up like, well, here's what I've done. Yeah, that's not my thing.
Right. You're not going to toot your own horn.
So
Very
I find
experienced with these.
I find ways of bringing it up, or I do sign them off to a male, which
there's
is my
also-
only option.
There's
But I
probably
have a
subtle
really
way-
fantastic
There's probably a s-
CVO that has gotten after a few people because he's very well known. And it's really nice when Mr. Duffin comes back and tells them, no, actually, the person you were talking to has more world records than I do. So you were talking to the right person first, but now you have me.
And there's
Now I'm
probably
gonna
a
yell at
subtle
you.
way to insert in the conversation as you're talking to them. You can make phrases or statements that should let them know, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So
You can, but sometimes they just
don't
can't get
wanna-
over the hump.
People
You know what I mean?
That's still a real
Yeah.
thing where just because they hear a female voice, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I thought we were past that.
In my entire life, I thought, I know, I have tried
Because
my
you
best
have a
to
dick,
pretend
Dad.
we were past that. I mean, I came from law
Yeah.
enforcement, for God's
I
sake.
know.
Yeah.
Like, I just assumed,
Yeah.
like, we're past this, right?
Yeah.
We
Well,
should be.
Yeah, you know, not always so much. I look back at things now and I'm like, oh, I may have lied to myself. That may have been because of
Yeah.
lacking
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oscar Mayer.
Fucking ridiculous.
But it's fine.
Lacking Oscar Mayer. I like that statement. It's funny.
Well, I have made this statement several times in the past, not even the podcast, just in conversation with friends. I am shocked often that the human race actually survived because for the majority of the time, and maybe even currently, I hate to admit that, the majority of the time that humans have been the dominant species on the planet, men have been in charge. It's been a man's world.
Mhm.
How the fuck did we survive as a species with men running the show? Because we're fucking idiots.
Oh my God.
Well,
And
there's been a lot of war, and there's been a lot of really horrible things that have happened.
I like to
So
chalk it up to there was always a strong woman behind the scenes influencing.
I think we can all say that both genders have their issues.
We have, well, yes.
You do not
Oh my
want
God,
me
yes.
running the show, okay?
No, I'm not
You don't
saying
want
women-
a 50-year-old
women are fucking
female
crazy.
making any sort of emotional decisions.
Right.
Okay.
Women are fucking crazy, men are stupid, and we need each other.
Yes.
Yeah,
we
there's
do.
a balance
We
of
balance
energy.
each
What I was
other
saying,
out for
or,
sure.
I mean, men and men need each other, and women and women need each other. That's fine.
Mhm.
But I guess the point is I'm still boggled my mind the fact that it's kind of been a man's world for most of human history. How the fuck did we not just cease to exist?
Yeah. I see
So.
what you're saying.
So thank God the women were there with their subtleties. Maybe is the word, because Charlie's very subtle.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I was just gonna say I don't know.
I just
what
exited the
subtlety I'm
conversation.
like. Oh my gosh.
I'm the voice of reason. I'll say the things nobody else will say.
Which thank God for you.
Well, I feel like I learned a lot more about your guys' friendship than I knew before.
Or
so
wanted
it's
to
been fun.
know.
It goes back a long time, and it's very important to me. So
Mhm.
thank you, Charlie, for being a guest on this.
Of course.
I seriously thought I was going to be crying to this, so I made it through without. Thank goodness. Oh my God.
I wasn't going to join you.
I know.
He's more emotional these days.
Yeah.
That's okay.
No, it's fine. Yes, I'm in touch with myself. Oh, I touch myself.
Oh,
That was
okay.
another good song from the 80s.
And I bet Charlie can sing it.
I could. I'm
We'll go
not going
downstairs
to.
to the stage, and Charlie's going to sing.
Oh my
So
goodness.
seriously, thank you for being here, Charlie. Alex and Kristen, thank you guys
Thank
for
you for
hosting
hosting.
us. Thank you for
Seriously.
making dinner.
This
And
one.
before
Our
we're going to
neighbors.
shut this off, but before you leave, I want Chris to show you her space upstairs. It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Kenny Chesney, Ken will personally reverse cowboy you for a
Oh!
bottle of the key lime rum.
I would like to
I'm
point
not.
out, though, okay, so I am no longer offended by Ken's rock shirt because now I am a fan of the rock. Moreover, that man has like 5 Transformer bars from my company, and the last one that got shipped to him, I got to put my hands on before it left the building. It gave it a little Charlie magic, even though it's not a bench bar.
That's why he's so
It's a
ripped.
squat bar.
That's why
So
the
that's
rock
why
is
he
ripped
looks
now.
so amazing.
That was
Yeah.
the one that you see Lindsey Vaughn on, which made me
Yes.
so
Oh,
proud.
God, yes.
Yes, so in that commercial, which I think is for Under Armour, which is great.
That's freaking awesome.
That's the bar that I put my hands on before it left the building. So
Nice.
yeah, so The Rock is rad, and
Nice.
thank goodness he likes his Transformer bar.
And Kabuki Strength is supporting professional athletes all across the world.
They do. They
my
absolutely
gosh.
do.
And-
And it's going to keep you in the game longer.
And it's making The Rock's movies even better.
And they're made in America.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, disclaimer. I'm not trying to claim that. Don't sue me. I will hit pause. Thank you, guys.